This is Sonia. Sonia was born in Moscow and has lived here all her life. She's gotten used to the fuss and bustle of the metropolis, and it feels like home. Sonia is an ordinary stray dog, one of the thousands living in the city. There are 500 million dogs living on the planet. This number is more or less the same as the population of Russia, the United States, and Spain together. Nearly 400 million of these dogs are homeless, just like Sonia. Dogs have been living next to people for almost 100,000 years. They adapt to constant changes happening in our lives so quickly that we've even stopped to be amazed by it. We've gotten accustomed to having them nearby and take their being so quick on the uptake for granted. No other animal has such significance in people's life. Not surprisingly, it was dogs who were the first even to travel to space. August 1960. The mongrels Belka and Strelka are setting off for space. They are the first astronauts. Long before the spaceflight of Yuri Gagarin, 11 Soviet mongrels made space flights. The first crews of astronauts were literally handpicked in the back streets. Homeless and not purebred dogs were chosen for a reason. Such dogs, from the very first days of their lives, have to fight for life. Those who are the strongest survive. As a result, mongrels are much sturdier than their pedigree congeners. Moreover, they adapt to any, even the most unusual conditions, very quickly. Having orbited the Earth 18 times, Belka and Strelka, as you can see, returned to their owners safe and sound. Moreover, a few months after returning from the mission, Strelka even had 6 perfectly healthy puppies, one of which, by the way, was presented to the U.S. President's wife, Jacqueline Kennedy. The modern metropolis is, of course, not a near-Earth orbit, but it also requires incredible strength and stamina from its inhabitants. Crazy traffic, intricate routes of passenger transport, a dense stream of people. However, dogs seem to feel quite confident in this concrete jungle. The most important thing is that you can always get some food here. In 1990, the number of homeless dogs in Moscow was as high as ever. There wasn't enough food for everyone, though. The garbage bins were controlled by the strongest ones. The rest had to adapt. The smart ones found a solution quickly. They mastered begging, being no less successful than professional beggars. Today, they lie in front of shops and near pedestrian crossings. They wave their tails and lie in wait for compassionate city dwellers.
Come here, my sweetie. Come, yeah. Come here. You like it. Yeah, you like it. There is a word, hedonism. It's a desire to experience pleasant sensations. It's natural for any living being. If a creature, for some reason, doesn't want to experience pleasant things, it either has already died or will soon die. There are no other options. And the second explanation is that any living being seeks to minimize the use of resources. That is, spending as little energy as possible to get as much as possible.
So did wolves. Once they realized this simple truth too. About 100,000 years ago, they made a discovery. It was easier to eat leftovers from people's tables than to hunt. It is believed that it was picking up leftovers that a chain of genetic changes began from. Changes that eventually turned a wolf into a dog.
They began to gather around primitive people's camps and warn them of predators approaching the camp by barking. People realized that wolves were wonderful watchdogs and could be used as guards. And from that time on, they started to feed them so that they moved around with them. Gradually, the relationship between a dog and a man grew into a partnership, and people realized that dogs could go hunting with them and follow them everywhere.
Take a closer look at the animals in this open-air kennel. Don't you notice anything unusual? And you are actually looking into the past of modern urban dogs. Dozens of thousands of years into the past, when the dog was still a wolf and the wolf had not yet become a dog.
Girls, good, very good. Stop that. Girls, girls. Good, good, good. Stop that. Come on. Sit, sit. Girls, sit, sit. Rada. Chili. Leap. Good girls. Shake. Rada. Good girl. A wolf dog. Chili. They are the first generation of wolf dogs. A husky and a wolf crossbreed. And a West Siberian Laika and a wolf hybrid. Look at us. Look at us. Settle. Sit. She's protecting her territory, isn't she? Good girl. Good girl.
Rada and Chili are wolf dogs, hybrids of a wolf and dog. Their fathers are purebred wolves. Wolf dogs have very strong instincts, which have become less acute in urban dogs. Hybrids have a much more developed scent, intelligence, and stamina. By the way, the famous hero of the book by Jack London, White Fang, was actually a wolf dog.
Look here, they are crossbreeds. The ones in the middle are of the second generation of wolf dogs, and the ones on the sides are wolf cubs, or a high-content hybrid of a wolf and a dog. The difference is that, look here, wolf cubs have thicker hair, a longer snout, and here, the muzzles are shorter, the hair is smoother. That's it. The puppies are calm, socialized, active. They like exploring the territory. Excellent sense of smell. And now they are eating milk with meat. This is their diet after they are 3 weeks old. Puppies run actively, but they also come up to you very well.
Unlike a wolf, wolf dogs can be trained. The animals of this breed are even used to protect the borders of Russia with China and Mongolia.
Wolf dogs are, of course, serious dogs for government services, and they are recommended for military units and search operations.
On the example of wolf dogs, you can easily see the fundamental differences between the dog and the wolf. Despite the fact that hybrids can be trained and are able to live in the city, they often retain the quality very important for the wolf: neophobia, the fear of everything new.
One of the dog's features is neophilia. They tend to love everything new. That is, even if the dog is frightened and has shied away from an open umbrella, its next step is to approach it and sniff it. And what is it? Can you eat it? Is it alive? Inanimate? They want to find out its qualities. For a wolf, it is quite common to be frightened of everything that is unfamiliar. It is thanks to this quality that it survives in the wild. There are many stories of how people protect the herds of animals. For example, the easiest way was to hang balloons on the branches of the trees around the herd. Even when they burst, their fragments were still hanging, and wolves didn't come up to the herd sometimes for several months. Though you would think there's just a fragment of dangling rubber at a sufficiently large distance.
Let's do a little experiment. Let's see how the wolf dog Chili will react to the balloon. Will she be able to cope with her fears?
No dog, except very shy, non-socialized ones or the ones who have mental health problems, isn't afraid of a balloon after it has been inflated. That is, many are frightened when the balloon is being inflated. They step back, look with their eyes wide open, and after that it's interesting to sniff it. What is it? Now let's see how our beauty will react. What's this? Chili? Chili? Look, a balloon. It takes her a really long time to decide what to do with this thing and how to react to it all. As you can see, here it is. There's a clear reaction of avoidance.
The wolf dog's reaction to the other objects offered to her, a ball and an umbrella, was the same caution. For the hybrid of a dog and a wolf to be socialized and not to grow shy and unsociable, puppies should be taken away from their mom at a proper time and taught to be comfortable with human society. People tend to attribute human qualities to animals. We often think that they think and feel in the same manner as we do. It's just that they can't say anything. In fact, these ideas are not completely groundless. Moreover, some dogs, as it turns out, can perceive themselves as human beings.
Here we should definitely speak about such an interesting concept as imprinting memorization. When we are born, we don't know which species we belong to. For the dog, it is absolutely true too. It has no idea what species it belongs to. To understand this, it has to communicate with animals of its species. A dog can perceive itself as a person, a cat, and another dog at the same time, meaning it can perceive all these creatures as one of its species.
If a dog has lived all her life with a human and seen other dogs only occasionally, then it's unlikely to understand that they are of the same species.
Moreover, we shouldn't separate social behavior and sexual behavior. It is a well-known fact that any sexual behavior disorder entails very serious social behavior disorders. It's true for dogs too. And it may so happen that a dog may see its sexual partner, not necessarily in another dog. If it didn't socialize with other dogs as a puppy, if it didn't imprint them as its species, it is people who are the ones that it will live with, have offspring, and live together.
Dogs brought up side by side with humans are very similar to Mowgli's. It's incredibly difficult for them to find a common language with representatives of their species. Today, there are 10 to 15,000 stray dogs living in the streets of Moscow. Have you ever wondered where they come from? It turns out that most of these mongrels are native Muscovites.
It is believed that dogs inhabiting the territory of Moscow and the Moscow region come from those dogs that were living here as early as before the war. This is for sure. There is an opinion that their ancestors lived here even earlier. Some parts of the population can easily date back to perhaps 200 or 300 years ago, something like this.
Many people believe that those who used to have a home abandoned or lost animals end up in packs of stray dogs. Is this true? This is a routine morning walk at the Sheremetьevsky dog shelter. Animals that used to have homes, but for some reason found themselves in the streets, end up here. There are only 220 dogs here. Most of them belong to fighting breeds and guard dogs. You might think, such a serious animal like this one can survive anywhere. However, zoologists insist that dogs raised in captivity survive very rarely on the streets. If within a week such dogs are not picked up by people, their fate is predetermined almost for sure. And it doesn't matter whether it's a toy terrier or a fighting dog. It's even more difficult for the latter ones.
No, these dogs never survive. These dogs are 100% sentenced to death. That's what I think. It's just a shelter for those sentenced to death that we have here. Well, first of all, in winter, one night in sub-zero temperatures and the dog is no more. It doesn't have any fur. It's an absolutely naked dog. This dog was created by people for living inside, in a house. And what can I say about, for example, about not very cold season? Such dogs don't survive either. Everyone is dead, scared of them. They think that that's a killer dog. Such a halo of horror has been created around them.
The problem doesn't only lie in the fear of people or cold intolerance. Humans, in the selection process, has done everything for animals to be simply not able to adapt to a life among others of their own species. Even if the dog manages to somehow be accepted by a pack of stray dogs, it certainly won't stay there for long.
Because if there is somebody picking on them there, they'll certainly strike back, and the pack can simply tear the dog to pieces. They're all covered in scars. We take them to the shelter in terrible condition. Then if the pack is being fed, they don't let him get close to the food. What I mean is that they seem to be all together as a pack, and he's on his own. And of course, he virtually dies of exhaustion, so he must be fed separately. So these dogs never survive in packs.
This dog is called Fox. He's had a new home for a month now. but he still visits the shelter every week for a session with a canine handler. The dog is trained to obey his new master, and the master in turn learns how to control the dog.
A family, just like a pack, must have a leader, an alpha male. So in a family, a man is a leader and a dog must obey him. What I mean by obeying is to listen, to respond to his commands. If a dog doesn't react to commands, a man has to train it.
The dogs didn't respond to commands very well, almost didn't obey. We had to go to the training site to train. Yes, he's still trying to establish his dominance, trying to sleep on the couch, which we do not allow. We train him with the help of delicious treats. Now he obeys better and better, without any aggression, only kindness, but being strict.
Such a relationship between the owner and the dog, when obedience is sought through requests and not threats, is called a system of flexible hierarchy. It's exactly the same relationship we can see in a common dog pack, contrary to the widespread belief that the alpha rigidly subordinates all other members of the pack.
There is such a theory, the theory of domination. It is still very actively promoted, though it was developed by mistake, watching packs of wolves and dogs in confined conditions like kennels, cages, and zoos. And because of this, well, who is placed there? There are animals there collected from all over the world. A wolf from here, a wolf from there, a wolf from here and there, and when teenagers or puppies gather together in one place, how else other than by testing their strength can they figure out which of them is the alpha one? People looked at it and thought that's probably the way it is in life. And then when researchers began to study the life of stray dogs, it turned out that the dog's pack is organized exactly like a human family. Yes, there's an authority, the one in charge. Usually it's the father. The mother, well, she's the wife. She does the cooking, housekeeping, and the man tries not to interfere with this. In the case of dog's family, we see almost the same. The female does its things, and it looks at how puppies communicate with each other. It educates them.
In fact, there is a strict system of prohibitions in the pack, but their number is very limited. Basically, this limits to causing harm to each other, well, and of course, claims for the alpha's female. In addition, the pack often expels unnecessarily aggressive individuals. Apart from that, peace and division of duties.
One is good at finding the praise trail, the second is a magnificent beater. The third, for example, knows how to defend, and if something happens, yes, he's strong, he's brave, he's not afraid to stand up for the pack together with the alpha if necessary. And there is such an important function, which many forget about. It's a peacemaker. A peacemaker is a wolf or dog that interferes in any conflict and attracts all, as they say, the anger, yes, of the two conflicting sides. Everything is poured onto him, but everyone is happy and content, and there is no conflict anymore.
Pottery is one of the oldest crafts. The first ceramic products appeared as early as the 29th millennium BC. Michael began working with clay a couple of years ago. Before that, he worked as an assembler of radio equipment and a car mechanic. Several years ago, Michael lost his sight completely, and Cassie became his eyes. Cassie, as the most up-to-date navigator, is controlled by voice. It is enough for a person to say the name of the itinerary, and the dog will safely and quickly bring him to the destination point. Michael and Cassie are now doing the shop itinerary.
Hello, I'd like some good sausage, please.
Here's the Kremlin sausage. Will you take it? Touch it? Good?
Fine, great.
Cassie has been working with Michael for 5 years. During this time, she's never lost her way. The dog only has one small weakness. It's difficult to resist delicious food. dogs have been used as guides for several hundred years, and the first schools for training four-legged assistants were created in Germany as early as the First World War. The criteria for selecting dogs for this work are very strict. Only representatives of certain breeds are suitable for the job, most often Labradors. They work perfectly with humans, aren't aggressive, and they are active and obedient.
A mongrel can't become a guide because usually a lot of different breeds are mixed in a mongrel, and if, for example, this mongrel is a descendant of some Alabai, a territorial dog, what will happen? The dog will be protecting. It will be protecting the owner, protecting the territory. We never know how a mongrel will respond to this or that situation. Zhenya, give me the cane. Good, good, good girl, good girl. Zhenya, the leash. Give me the leash. Good, good girl, good, very good.
This is a guide dog training school. Cassie, Michael's dog, was trained in a similar facility. At first, dogs live with volunteers, and every day they come to training sessions with them. Open sewer manholes, fallen trees, stones, curbs. Dogs must learn how to go around any obstacles well and to only go along the route that is available to the human.
We can safely train the dog here on the track, and then when a blind person comes to take this dog, we'll send him to this track at the end of training, and in the same way we'll train the dog to lead around the obstacles. Here's an obstacle. This is an imitation of roadworks. That is, the dog should not go through these traffic cones. The dog should lead the person around them. We explain it to the dog, and that if it does go between these obstacles, we'll drop this object on the dog. What I mean is that we show that I can't go here, so you shouldn't go there either. Forward, good, good. Go around, go around. So, good boy. To the left, to the left.
When the dog's been trained the basics, it is trained on specific routes several times and then is given to the owner to keep it. Now the dog has a full working week with hard working conditions in the metropolis. And the most important thing is responsibility for a human life.
Work, work, work. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Crossing a road can be dangerous, but Michael, thanks to Cassie, easily maneuvers among cars, not even slowing down. The dog will safely lead the owner to the other side, even if the traffic light is not equipped with a special sound signal. How does she do it? Let's go back a little and try to understand what the dog uses as cues when crossing the road. Maybe it's the behavior of people nearby. Yes, this too. But people are not always around. Then perhaps the green traffic light signal. But dogs don't see colors very well. The world, as the dog sees it, is certainly not black and white, but blue and yellow colors prevail there. There are only 2 types of receptors in the dog's retina, while humans have 3. That's why for the dog, it's difficult to navigate by colors. Green and red traffic light signals look about the same to them. The dog is more likely to rely on the location of the signal and on the moving figure appearing on the traffic light lens as a cue. In general, if the object moves, the dog's vision opens up in its full capacity. It can see as well as no humans can, like in a slow-motion picture. That's why dogs easily catch objects on the fly and can calculate the speed and trajectory of their moves, even when crossing a busy road. It takes canine handlers from 6 months to a year to train a guide dog to navigate perfectly in the conditions of a large city. However, street dogs such as Sonia learned how to deal with road crossings and traffic lights long ago. Who trained them?
Dogs, like people, learn by imitating behavior. That is, one dog can show another one what to do. And there are cases when dogs trained other dogs to cross the road at the traffic lights. How did they do that? A few dogs lead the younger ones to the edge of the road, usually one young dog at a time. They teach how to look to the left and to the right with light bites and hits to the neck. When it's safe to move, they push the youth forward and cross the road. One of the puppies got stuck in the middle of the road. He got distracted by something interesting, and when the car started going, he rushed about but jumped out alive. The whole pack was already waiting for him on the sidewalk. And there he was, met with such a thrashing from every dog that most likely he'll never fall behind again and never again be on the road with cars.
The Moscow subway. It holds the first place in the world in terms of traffic intensity. 196 stations, thousands of trains, intricate connecting passages, a whole underground world. Every day, more than 9 million Muscovites and guests of the capital use the metro. There are four-legged passengers, too. Such dogs were even given a special nickname, Metro Dogs. They are considered to be the most courageous and smartest dogs. Not every dog will overcome its fear of the escalator and dare to go in a rumbling car of the train. On the other hand, it's warm all year round in the metro, and passengers can feed you with something delicious.
Now there's a little food, all of the energy of the pack, all of the energy of the dog society. Let's better call it this way. Were applied to get food, to feed offspring, to protect females, to protect the territory. Now getting food is not such a difficult task. There's a lot of free time. And like any socially organized group, they also have this interest. What is there behind that turn? What will I find there?
But for quite a long time, Metro Dogs haven't just been going from one station to another. Now they always have a specific route. These dogs are also called scouts or guest performers. According to some zoologists, mongrels explore new territories so that later they can show them to other members of the pack. And for the period of migration of the pack, these courageous scouts can even take over the place of the alpha.
If the pack is in a migration period, then, for example, during the migration period, it is not the alpha who is in authority, it is a new leader. What I mean is that the alpha is replaced by the dog, which, well, they are mostly males, of course, which has been more traveled more. Well, it's like people have it. Yeah, he's been there. He'll tell us everything about it.
The most amazing thing is how well the dogs manage to navigate in the subway. After all, even a human sometimes misses the station he was going to.
They firstly rely on auditory cues, such as announcements, voices, on their sense of time, on smell. Altogether, it gives them the answer. Here, I should get out here. These three things tell me that I should get out here. There will be this and that. What I mean is that each station has its own smell. You see, each station, for example, has its own noise. Of course, the time period too. That is, they fill the time. Well, if on a Monday you will, for example, come to the pack with something very tasty to give them at a certain time, they will be ready and waiting at this time. That is, they calculate time really well. They don't have calendars. They have calendars inside their heads.
Recently, it's been not only adventurous males who have been brave enough to enter the subway, but also much shyer females. Therefore, dogs have gone serious about occupying the subway. The airport is the air gate to the country. Security requirements are particularly stringent here. Along with scanners, metal detectors, and intrascopes used in airports for checking passengers' luggage and search, for example, explosives, they use biosensors here. Here is one of them, in person.
Gera, search.
Solimov dog. This is the name of this breed. It looks completely like a pet dog at first glance, but in fact, it's almost a wild animal.
And it's not really a dog, it's a crossbreed between a domestic dog and an Asian jackal. They're very mobile, very active, they don't have any problems with their muscles or bones. They're great at climbing, they squeeze through anywhere. Our crossbreeds and our jackals climb and mesh like cats. They squeeze into very small holes because, one of the best working dogs, the Alsatian dog, is still quite big, and it will be very difficult for it to get into a small hole or a technical entrance, which are quite a few on an aircraft. Okay, we've put on gloves. We're using forceps not to touch the educational props with the same gloves. And here's the container with our magic thing in it. We put it in the bag.
This backpack belongs to one of our film crew members, and right now, a support officer of the K9 team is planting explosives in it. In fact, it's only one of the standard components. The task for the dog is to find a potential attacker in the crowd. During the search raid, the dog is accompanied by another handler. She doesn't know which passenger's bag the explosive has been planted in and cannot even unconsciously direct the dog. The uniqueness of hybrids of a jackal and a Laika lies exactly in the fact that they work completely independent from humans, unlike any other search dogs.
Where a dog, while doing its work, mostly focuses on a person and feels that here he's trained, here it should search, the hybrid, in fact, doesn't care about the human state. It knows what it must find and how it is searching it. This is his personal calling, so to speak.
What I mean is, the handler cannot confuse this dog with his own emotions. Hybrids work for food only and trust their own scent. The dog's brain is about 1/10 the size of a human's brain, but the site responsible for the sense of smell is 40 times larger than ours. Dogs recognize 10,000 times more scents than we do. They are able to smell a drop of blood in a gallon of water and to follow the trail of a man left a few days ago. In case of detecting explosive traces, the dog simply stops for a second at a suspicious bag, letting the person know where to look without unnecessary noise. That's exactly what the participant of our experiment has done. It took just 5 minutes to find a suspicious backpack.
The dogs indicated the training explosive material, the response of standing still, has done her job perfectly. Responding to my command, the dogs returned to me and received a treat.
Sulimov dogs work for no more than 25 minutes at a time. Then the scent is dulled and the animal needs a rest in fresh air. We haven't been told whether these dogs were able to find any real explosives. That's classified information. While some dogs ensure security, others can make you want to defend yourself. Calm life pace in city streets is not for everyone. Some stray dogs, so-called pariahs, prefer not to separate away from nature and follow their instincts.
Homeless stray dogs don't run around the territory of the park occasionally. They are here virtually all the time. In most cases, they gather in packs and, following their instincts, run into the forest, intending to chase someone, to hunt. In the park, apart from moose, we have deer. During the winter-spring period, 10 to 15 deer are killed by dogs in the park.
Losiny Island is one of the first national parks in Russia. This is the largest forest located within the city. No more than 15 years ago, no one was threatening local inhabitants. The wolf was taken out of here in the Soviet era, and foxes aren't a threat to deer and moose. The situation changed when stray dogs came here.
The dog as a predator actually is not afraid of humans. Recently, there has been a trend that in most cases they hunt without barking, without using their voice.
They chase in silence. It's not necessarily a big pack. There are 2 or 3 dogs hunting. They can chase the prey somewhere closer to the fences, to the barriers, tear their back legs. In fact, take their legs off so the deer cannot escape.
Sometimes several dogs chase the animal, with a few waiting at a certain place where the animal may run into.
This 1-year-old moose, despite its impressive size, can easily fall victim to a pack of dogs. Moreover, in case of a successful hunt, they most likely won't even eat their prey, but immediately chase to the next one. Dogs strive to satisfy their instinct rather than appetite.
The fauna of Moscow, the natural areas of Moscow, is largely depopulated, especially due to stray dogs' fault. We don't have the roe deer in Moscow, for example. We don't have the badger. There's practically no European hare left. It's on the verge of extinction. Well, the list can go on. And dogs, when there's nothing to catch, there's nothing to snap. But the instinct leads. They begin to snap and even kill frogs.
Dogs like Sonia, who live in our yards, beg at shops' doors, and travel in the metro, certainly don't run away into the forest to hunt. Their limit is to chase a cat or kill a rat. These animals are very like pet animals, and in the wild, they'll simply die.
These are 2 absolutely different worlds. In the city, the dog depends on the human, on people. It got used to feeding from people. When it finds itself in the forest, it has to get food on its own, but it never does. There is an important concept which people don't know about, and many who know simply forget about. The concept of food and killing are different for the dog, just like for the human. What I mean is that a dog can kill a cat, but it won't eat it. It can kill a rat, but it won't eat it either. If it had never been taught to eat rats as a puppy, it would catch it and kill it only because it is a small moving prey. The same goes for absolutely any forest creature.
The fact that a dog can hunt certainly doesn't mean that it won't die of hunger. Just like when dogs bark, it doesn't mean that it can bite. This applies to both pet dogs and stray dogs.
It's a much more frequent case when a dog showing an alleged inclination to protect the owner attacks aggressive people, rushes at drunk people. In the situation of a real attack, these dogs leave the owner alone. They hide behind him. Because they've never encountered a situation where they would need to bite. Because for a dog, using the teeth is the same as using hands for people. The fact that we have hands and we can take a cup of tea with a hand doesn't mean that we can draw a picture. It doesn't mean that with the same knife we used to cut carrots, we can protect ourselves from a criminal. The same is true for the dog. The fact that a dog can pull a toy and snap a ball doesn't mean that it knows how to bite and understands how to do it in case of an aggression.
It takes more than 1 month to train a dog to protect the owner at his command. The training is, in fact, aimed at increasing the dog's self-confidence, because no matter how ferocious the dog looks, it's very difficult for him to leave his owner and fight with another human on his own. Having the owner by its side gives the dog confidence. That's why pet dogs are more likely to attack people than stray dogs. Street dogs don't have an owner. They don't feel support behind their backs. So, if it's not about protecting the territory or puppies, they prefer to escape when facing a minimal fight off from a human. We share one city with them, and dogs understand perfectly well that it is better to be on good terms with neighbors. Today, we are witnessing the real psycho-evolution of urban dogs. They're becoming more mobile, learn to use technical achievements, and teach their peers to do it. But first of all, they learn from us, and therefore, the development of dogs will continue as long as the city where they live is developing.